Buckingham Road in Aylesbury, motorcycling towards the River Thame, which in these parts is a shallow stream near its source. I'm riding to Holman's Bridge, which is over the River Thame and marks the site of the Battle of Aylesbury in 1642 during the Civil War. And here's Holman's Bridge. Innocuous enough, most pass over it without giving it a second thought, but this river crossing has a story to tell. I'll pull over to the right and take a closer look. There we are, right in the corner of this hotel car park. That will do nicely. And here's Holman's Bridge. Brick built in the 1950s perhaps, or earlier, possibly the 30s. But it was back in 1818 that men digging for gravel around here discovered a large number of human bones. No weapons were found, but were these soldiers from the Civil War, weapons were so scarce and needed that the dead would have been stripped of valuables, especially weapons such as swords and pikes. Prince Rupert, who commanded the Royalist troops defending Aylesbury, heard of the approach of Parliament's troops from Stony Stratford, led by William Balfour. Leading cavalry, Rupert went into open country to meet the Roundheads, but he had not gone further than the river, where there was no passage but a bad ford, swollen by the rains. He found himself checked by Balfour's horse and foot on the opposite bank. Rupert charged across the ford, breaking through Balfour's two first lines of infantry, and a sharp conflict began. Eventually, Rupert retreated and Parliament won the day. By that time, the muskets, pikes and swords and axes had done their work of death, the soldiers having mixed and fought in one close and furious scrum. And what of the bodies discovered in 1818? Well, they were collected and buried in one common grave at Hardwick churchyard on the hill. I rode over there. Back on the Buckingham Road, riding north, looking for Hardwick village, somewhere on the right. There's Hardwick Church, just to be seen in the distance. What a glorious and crisp, bright, cold winter's day, December the 1st. There's Hardwick Church again. And here's the turning to Hardwick village. Up past the village green, and the church should have been somewhere on my right. It's not easy to lose a large medieval building, but it did look as though I'd missed it. I rode down this lane to turn in front of an old farmyard. And so try again, back to the village green. Past this lovely cottage on the left. I parked and decided to continue the search on foot. Just pushing the bike away from that footpath. Right, having collected my belongings together, I set out to look for the church. And no wonder I couldn't see it straight away. It was hidden away down here. And there it is in all its splendour. I knew that the monument was on the south side of the church. Probably tell from the shadows from the trees that this is the south side. And there, under the south wall of the tower, is the green lichened stone chest with the following words engraved upon it. Words that are particularly moving when you think of how after each war people hope it will be the last. It reads, "Within are deposited the bones of 247 persons which were discovered AD 1818, buried in a field adjoining to Holman's Bridge near Aylesbury. From the history and appearance of the place where they were found, they were concluded to be the remains of those officers and men who perished in an engagement fought AD 1642 between troops of King Charles I under the command of Prince Rupert and a garrison who held Aylesbury for the Parliament. Enemies from their attachment to opposite leaders and to opposite standards in the sanguinary conflict of that civil war, they were brought together, united in its fury, united in one common slaughter. They were buried in one common grave, close to the spot where they had lately stood in arms against each other. After the lapse of more than a century and a half, these bones were collected and deposited together still in consecrated ground. May the memory of brave men be respected. May our country never again be called to take part in a contest such as that which this tablet records."